Thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team, every single day. Hello, I'm Stephen Willis from Locked On Ole Miss. I'm here with Josh Guest, and we are going to talk a little bit about Ole Miss sports as well, including, Josh, Tuesday night was an absolutely insane atmosphere. I've never seen anything like that from Ole Miss basketball.
Stephen, I haven't either. And I was there. And at the end of the game, when I don't remember who, number 4 for state, was shooting the free throws,
the air ball.
Missed the first one. They called the timeout. I've never heard a basketball stadium as loud as that anywhere I've ever been. And it was insane, the volume level inside there. The students, the crowd got so loud. And then he airballed the second one, and I thought some of the players weren't even going to be able to keep their composure after that. So it was just an incredible, incredible atmosphere. My wife and I both left the game and said to each other, if we had been at home, we would not have watched the finish just because of how intense it was. And, it's just a lot to take. And I told her, I said, I don't want to be here if we lose. And she goes, we got a lot more Ole Miss fans. I said, I don't care. I just don't want to be here if we lose this game. But as it turned out, it was such a great win and such a great atmosphere. And I got to see, I've seen TV, video, whatever, but I was in the stadium still. I hung around and just kind of soaked it in when Beard went around and he was thanking different areas of the crowd and the students, and they all came on the floor and they told him to face the student section for the picture. It was just a great, great thing there. And look, in the second half, there was on the Jumbotron 2 or 3 times where Coach Yo was pumping the crowd up. She was doing some dancing or some moves or some motion. We did the baseball song.
Love is gone.
Yeah, love is gone. There we go. And she was leading in that. I mean, it was just the crowd went nuts when they put her up there on the screen. So it was really, really fun time, and obviously made a lot more fun because we won the game.
Yeah, it was really cool. Like I said, yeah, Ole Miss winning the game was a must. Because we've all seen like programs that are ascending, they hit that point that they're not quite ready for, and they get in that stage and they just kind of get slapped down. They were able to pull out the win, and they were able to win the basketball game, even though Alan Flanagan was in foul trouble. Moussa Cisse was in foul trouble. Like Rashad Marshall had to play meaningful minutes in a basketball game. I think all of that stuff is good news. Ole Miss gets the win. The atmosphere was great, and I'm just pumped.
And look, shout out to TJ Caldwell.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, dude lit it up, and he just hit big shot after big shot after big shot. But now, again, Juju did his thing. He didn't have – I think he had maybe 8 at the half, but, boy, those were a big 8 points. Every point he got in the first half was a big shot. You knew what was going to happen at the end. Everybody in the whole gym knew what was going to happen. The whole state team could have guarded him. He was taking that shot, and he just calmly made it. And then, he's been a fiery guy. I guess at A&M when he hit that big shot to tie it late, or maybe even take the lead, he got really animated and excited and pumped up and was making all kind of gestures and everything else. In the state game, in the second half, he made a similar shot. He came back down the floor, and I was worried he was going to lose it then. But what he was doing, he was pumping his hands like this. I don't know if they showed it on TV. He was pumping his hands to everybody on his team on the floor. Hey, guys, I just hit a big shot, but let's stay here. Let's stay in the moment. Let's do our thing. Let's play defense. And, man, it was so awesome to see. And, again, just the entire atmosphere. And like I said, Caldwell stepping up so big. He talked about it postgame on the radio. He said, they said, well, what was your big night? He goes, man, we're a team. He said, and when somebody doesn't show up or doesn't do like you think they're going to do, or they have an off night, he said, somebody else steps up. And he said, that's what we do. That's what we are. We're a team. And so, just amazing, amazing stuff.
This is kind of proof of concept that Ole Miss can be a quote unquote basketball school. That this is kind of proof that it can be done.
It is. And look, I'm going to give a shout out. I don't know if this guy even watches the podcast or not, but it's Ben Van Cleve's little brother. I don't know if you've seen him. He's at every baseball game when Ben played. He had Ben's jersey on last night, 33, and he's always recognizable in one of the publications or on the web or something. He was like the fan of the game, and so he was down there at the front of the student section, Club Red, and just they were just so hyped. I mean, that whole section, they had the entire sideline filled with students from floor to regular stands. And then they were on the end. I was behind the goal on one end, and they were on our end and filled that up as well. And then they were on the other end. And they had, I'm sure you saw when they shot the free throws, the juice, big heads and fat heads or whatever, and the other things. It was just an amazing atmosphere altogether there. The students, the fans, again, like I said, when they showed Coach Yost, they just went bonkers. And it was just unbelievable. The whole thing was just unbelievable.
Ole Miss has a big 9 or 10 days of basketball in front of them. And it started last night with Ole Miss and Vanderbilt. But as we record that, we don't know the result of this. But the men's team, it starts with Auburn Saturday. And Auburn beat Ole Miss by 20-something points in Neville Arena. It could have been worse than that. They were able to cut it down. Auburn does not lose at home. I did not expect Ole Miss to win. I did expect a better performance than that. But Ole Miss does not lose at home, it appears. And Auburn is susceptible on the road. So if Ole Miss can win this game, that'll get them to the halfway point of the SEC season at 6-3. I think we have to recalibrate our expectations if Ole Miss wins Saturday.
Yeah, and look, I mean, I was kind of upset that Auburn, I think they've lost 2 on the road recently as of this recording. So they're good and mad, just like we like it. And so if they beat us, something's got to give. But I will say I want to go back to the A&M game because I think finding a way in the second half of that game to pull through and get the win, I think that, you talk about proof of concept. I think that was sort of where there was more buy-in to Beard's system. Even the players talked about it on some different outlets that I've seen or heard, either radio or film, on the internet or whatever, or TV or whatnot, where they talk about, like Juju Murray was talking about how Coach Beard believed in him to take the shot. And he said, Coach told me, I'm never going to get mad at you for taking the shot. If it's a good shot, take it. If you miss it, so what? You take the good shot. I'm never going to be mad about that. And it instills belief. It's the same thing I do when I teach. If I can get you to believe you can do it, I've won the battle. And so Coach Beard believes in his players. He believes in Murray. He believes in others. And I think the rest of the team feeds on that. I mean, you can see it with Caldwell. I think I heard him talking about on the radio when they interviewed him, somewhere halfway through the second half before he ever missed a shot. Mm-hmm. I mean, that guy was on fire last night. He was feeling it. I was a little worried about Morrell. Or Tuesday night, I should say. But I was worried about Morrell, but he found it right before the half. And when he got hot, I just turned to my wife and I said, we're finna to roll. And then we got the big lead in the second half. So really, really good stuff there. And I don't know, just again, I just have to tout the atmosphere and how incredible it was. And then going back to that A&M, finding a way to win that game on the road. And I honestly believe that's why we won the game against State, because I think if we had fallen to A&M on the road, maybe we found it against State at home, but maybe we lose that game close. So I'm really excited about going in against Auburn. It's a tall task. They're a good basketball team, but we are at home, and that does give us an advantage. And so hopefully we can take advantage of that.
Yeah, and after Auburn, they go to the Colonial Life Center against South Carolina, who just beat Tennessee in Tennessee. And after that, they go to Rupp Arena, so no big deal, right?
That's right. Let's just go up to Kentucky, who already went on the road and won some big games in the SEC already this year.
Yeah, no bigs. No problem.
I mean, Kentucky, they're just your average basketball program.
Yeah, and Coach O did the game against Vanderbilt. On Sunday, they play South Carolina in the Colonial Life Center. Big 9 days of basketball coming up for Ole Miss basketball.
It is. And it's good to see, and it's good that there's some wins happening. It's good about the excitement in the program. And so, I think I say it every week, but it's a good time to be an Ole Miss fan.
Yeah. All right. So what do you think is going to happen tomorrow against the Auburn Tigers?
Put me on a spot here. Obviously I want Ole Miss to win. So I guess I'm going to go all homer here and pick the Rebels to take down the Tigers in Oxford after the big 20-plus point loss in Auburn. So let's go let's go 78-76 Rebs win. And we'll call it a buzzer beater by Juju Murray.
It's close game makes sense. Ole Miss is 7-0 in games decided by 5 points or less. And at first you're like, they're winning coin flips. Maybe they're getting lucky or they should be losing the game. But as it keeps happening over and over again, no, they just keep their nerve. They execute in a highly stressful environment. And Chris Beard's done an amazing job with them.
He has. You know, I want to say this. I was sitting beside a longtime friend at the state game who's been an Ole Miss fan for a very long time. And about, I guess it was near the end of the first half when we made our run and kind of tied the game up right before half. It was somewhere in that realm. He leaned over to me and he said, you know, if we keep this close, I like our chances. And why would you not at this point? Because, you know, we've been able, like you said, to win all those games. And like exactly what you just said, we all thought coin flip. Wait a minute. We're winning all these right now. So maybe there's something to this, you know, and I want to go back to that belief. I think Beard has instilled that belief, and the players know it and understand it. And I think it takes the pressure off a little bit on the players too.
Well, let's put a bow on this early transfer portal window cycle as well. Lane Kiffin has done a pretty fantastic job in this window. They're going to be the transfer portal champions, if that's a thing. They're going to have the number one class. Walter Nolan is the headliner. Princely Amon Mielen is up there. I think he has a chance to be very impactful. And last night, Mike Detillier was on the show, and he basically said the same thing as well. I'm pretty fired up about what Ole Miss is doing in the transfer portal with what they brought back. Lane Kiffin adding to what he already had is next level.
It is. And you know, even with all the craziness, you know, I know every time somebody flipped or we lost somebody or didn't get somebody, people kind of freaked out. And, you know, would it have been nice to get Green as another edge? And yes, it would have. And I think he went to Colorado maybe. But every single time, even with the coaches, every single time, what has Lane Kiffin done? He's been able to upgrade and find somebody in their place. So my one thought that I've had throughout this process is, man, I don't want to play chess against Lane Kiffin because he's like the ultimate strategist. I mean, every single time he adapts and he pivots. He just handles it. And so I'm super excited. I love our coaching staffs around the horn in sports at Ole Miss right now. And I feel like we're in a good place. And I know I just said it a few minutes ago. I'll say it again. It's a great time to be an Ole Miss fan.
Yeah. And are you a comic book person?
I mean, I'm familiar, but I wouldn't call myself a comic person, though.
Okay. I don't mean this as being a villain or anything like that. I don't think Lane Kiffin is a villain, but Lane Kiffin has some doomsday attributes to where every time you get him, he adapts and you can't get him that way anymore. Is every time he shows up, it has to be something completely new, because if it's already happened to him, it doesn't happen again. And I think that might be Lane Kiffin's superpower, is the ability to learn from his mistakes and adapt like on the fly. So yeah.
Well, I didn't mean to interrupt. Same thing with Golding on defense, the way that they both adapt to what they have. And so I think you've even talked about it with various people on the show already about next year. It won't look the same. The percentage of runs won't be the same because we don't have four in the backfield. And so we're going to change it up some. We have that incredible wide receiver room. So it's going to look different. We have different coaches that are going to do different things and focus on different things. And so it's just going to be fun to watch. I know you've talked about the new receivers coach and the motion, the 5 yards on either side of the line of scrimmage. And last night, the state game the other night, my thought was, as there was a play where State just weaved back and forth, ball moving all over the place, and then a guy got a wide open dunk. And I thought, this is what our offense is going to look like on football. It's going to be motion all over the field, and all of a sudden Jackson Dart's going to hit a wide open streaking Priestcorn or Daquan or Smith or Trey Harris or Juice Wells, or you pick it, and so it's just going to be fun to watch.
Lane Kiffin does love him some eye candy, and I think you saw a little bit of it last year. I think it's going to be heightened. It's just that George McDonald, that's just what he does. Anyway, thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Josh Guest, thank you so much for coming on the show, and we'll talk to you next week, buddy.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Hotty toddy.
Hotty toddy.